Today we're joined by Rebecca Kimber, CEO of Create. So Create is the first all-in-one website builder. You've enabled over 30,000 people to make their own website. Even better, you're helping businesses to reduce the environmental impact of their websites by making them faster and more efficient. You're also a founding member of the Million Tree Pledge, and you've already planted over 350,000 trees, which is pretty incredible. Thanks for joining us today.
Having me. It's great to be here.
Cool. Do you want to start by telling us a bit about yourself and maybe how Create was started?
So, Create was started back in about 1999 by my husband, Simon. We're a husband-wife team, and he was a web developer, and he really enjoyed, doing all that kind of web development stuff, and not so much the bits where people would come back and say, "Can you change this? Can you do that?" And he felt like there was a better way to do that, and that was obviously how he could enable people to do those things themselves. And so he spent about a year building the original piece of software from some of the things that he already had kind of going on, technically wise, software wise, and basically built kind of like what we have, a very 1999 version of what we have today, which was to enable people to very quickly and easily get themselves a website and take a lot of that kind of technical stuff out of it, because it's all design and creative based, and make it fast and easy and fun for people to build websites. And so it kind of came out of that problem originally, and then from there we've gone on and we've learned a lot, and things have changed hugely because we're 21 this year, last year 22 this year. So we've been through mobile shifts, we've been through things like, I think there's 32 colors to start with, you kind of try to imagine what those 2-color websites are like. And so, it's all been about how we can create that really accessible web for people, and how we can enable people to build their own e-commerce stores without having to worry about any code. And from there, obviously, we've always had a bit of an environmental stance, but it's now, more than just what can we do about renewable energy and looking at our suppliers. It's what can we do to reduce the footprints of all websites, because we all need websites. We're all doing things that are creating carbon footprint. There's nothing we can do really to get away from that without actually just not doing those things. But websites are obviously, and the internet itself is, they're good ways for people to reduce their carbon footprint. So instead of sending loads of brochures in the post, instead of sending lots of stuff or going to meet people and talking to them, you can do a lot more of that with your website these days.
How does that work? How does that work, Rebecca, with the kind of the carbon footprint of a website? Because I kind of feel like if you ask the average person in the street, they probably wouldn't realize a website has a carbon footprint. Is it big? Like, how does it? Yeah. What makes it?
Well, I think that depends on what you've got on it.
Okay, yeah.
And how many people are visiting it. So, the bigger it is, the more data it's got, and obviously the more traffic you've got, then the bigger that carbon footprint is. So, optimizing it's really important, especially if you have got lots of people coming to it, because you might be using a renewable energy supplier like we're running most of our software, most of our systems, most of our infrastructure on renewable energy through the suppliers that we're choosing to use. But we're 40%, I think, now renewable energy in the UK for people. So, but that other 60% is not. So if you've got people who are not on renewable energy and they're coming to visit your website, then they're creating a carbon footprint. And that carbon footprint, not to get too technical, as you all know, that's sitting in your scope 3. So
yeah,
whatever your website is creating by people visiting it, that's actually your carbon emissions, because it's your website, even though they're doing it. You know what I mean? So looking at the renewable energy that you're using, so where you're storing it, and the software that you're using is obviously the first part, but that's quite a small piece, because there's a lot of the carbon footprint that actually you're not in control of, which is people coming to visit it who are not using renewable energy. So that's where thinking about all those efficiencies comes in, and how you can, do you have the right things on your website? Do you have more than you need on your website? can you make it more effective with a smaller carbon footprint? And that's something to try and look at.
What kind of advice would you have for people listening, you know, about about how they can reduce the footprint or the impact of their website?
So some of that's quite tricky for individuals and small businesses, because obviously you're reliant on tools. But you know, the main thing that you're going to have influence over is things like your images, things like your videos, those things. You know, it's that thing where which are the things that I can make the biggest difference with. And I think, you know, carbon reduction and getting to net zero are, you know, those ideas. And so, you know, are your images optimized? Are you auto playing big videos when actually, you know, you've got lots of visitors who've been before and they don't need to see it again?
Yeah.
Turn those things off. And then obviously you can get into things to do with the code. Or are you running lots of third parties like things like MailChimp, things like Facebook Messenger, things like, you know, tracking stuff that actually don't need to. Those kinds of things are coming from other places, and so that sometimes those can be quite slow.
Yeah.
But what's really beneficial about making your website more efficient is that it gets faster. And when your website gets faster, Google likes it more. And obviously, overall, you're going to be offering a better experience to customers. They're going to get a quicker loading website. So there's lots of upsides business-wise.
It's win-win, really, isn't it? So, yeah,
exactly.
Definitely something people need to consider a lot more, because I think definitely, even with us, I think it was probably one of the last things we considered. We kind of thought we need an all singing, all dancing website, but I didn't really think about the environmental footprint of it. I guess you think about the user experience, don't you? And you put that on your priority list. But if you've got a million plugins and it's all flashing and then
it's a technical term, Alan.
Well,
I don't really know, but
I think it's going to be that next thing that people are going to start to think about. I mean, over the last few years, you know, there's a lot more talk now about mobile first, and at first it was just designers thinking that way, but now it's, you know, our customers that use our platform think about mobile experience, because actually they know that a lot of their customers are using their mobiles, and so that's the first impression that they're going to be making. And so it's important to look at that, and you know, this energy efficiency, because that's what it is really. It's energy efficiency. We all know we're in an energy crisis, and so thinking about how we can be more efficient with what we have and use less energy is something that I think, you know, the public are much more aware of. People in general, consumers, are much more aware of, because of the fact that they need to pay more for it. And, you know, over time, energy is probably not going to get a huge amount cheaper. So we do need to think about that. And as businesses, if we're all using less energy, then there's cost savings there as well, isn't there?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is there a way to like track the footprint of your website? Because I mean, it's something we were looking at, and we've not found a way of doing it yet.
It's really complicated, because trying to work out what your actual footprint of your website is tricky, because there are some research pieces, but obviously the internet is made up of a huge amount of different points, you know, servers that things go through, and different communication points that things go through, and it's very difficult to know, because information's routing all through different places to different people all the time. How much carbon footprint you've kind of got going on for every visitor is, you know, it's hard. So you just have to make a kind of an estimated average guess as to what the carbon footprint is of the site. But Vanita and Tom Greenwood from they've got a tool called the website Carbon Calculator.
Oh, okay.
And that's cool. So that's a really good tool to use, which you can look up online. And they've taken all that research and they've made those calculations. So it'll tell you what it estimates as being the carbon footprint of any page on your site. And so when you run that through, I mean, even if it's not accurate, you can still work then towards being like, well, this is my benchmark. And, you know, this is where, as I make changes, I can see that I'm reducing it. And I think that's the, you know,
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it, is to say this is a benchmark. It may or may not be absolutely accurate, but I don't have accuracy, you know, to the milli milli car CO2, you know, so it's yeah, I would start with something like that. The other one is Google PageSpeed. So it's not necessarily reporting your carbon, you know, but it is telling you how fast it thinks your website is, and speed and how much data you're using is obviously.
Is it kind of like basically like the faster the website is, the better it's built, and therefore the less stuff that's loading? So I kind of feel like with our website, which we're just updating, we had like a template website with like 80 plugins, and I feel like it's all that stuff loading in the background, I guess. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I'm just
I think
guessing.
The plugins can, you know, they can definitely slow down websites. And, you know, when you've got a lot of plugins, you need to go and look and see whether or not those plugins are, you know, running on renewable energy, because although your website might be renewable energy, you've got all sorts of other things going on where they're basically also your suppliers, aren't they? So they also need that kind of review if you're doing a carbon sort of footprint measurement and looking at your suppliers, which ones you're using. And yeah, so it's definitely worth doing that. Sorry, forgot what I was going to say.
Can't remember. But we did when we first looked at it about a year ago. I was like, someone told me about the carbon footprint of your website, and I was like, I never thought of that. I think I literally never thought of it until about a year ago, and then I was like, oh yeah, probably is sensible to try and address that.
Is it true, like even just sending an email and things like that is? I mean, what is the footprint of sending an email? What's the?
I do know that because I have
really?
some slides.
That wasn't a test or anything.
I was thinking she's never going to know this. She's never going to know this.
Oh, I like that guy. Yeah, we is that Mike Berners-Lee? Is that right?
It is, yeah, and he's got a lot. Yeah, he's got a lot of data in this book. So how about the bananas?
You need to buy that book.
It's really interesting because actually, you know, it helps to put in perspective some of the things.
So is he an expert in supply chain emissions? Is that correct? Just for people listening.
This book's more kind of like, so we're talking about this book here.
Not that it's sponsored by...
This episode is sponsored by Mike Berners-Lee.
No, anyway, for your own personal benefit, the book goes through things in order of like, you know, less than 10 grams. So a text message is in there and an email is in there.
Wow, okay.
Nice.
And then 10 to 100 grams, you know, ironing your shirt. Boiling a portion of boiled potatoes. It talks quite a lot about food because really the book's for consumers.
Yeah.
And then you can get up to kind of like 10 kilos a pair of shoes.
Wow.
Leaving the lights on. But anyway, 16 to 18 is email. So 0.03 grams for a spam email that's picked up by your filters. 0.2 grams for a short email from phone to phone. 0.3 grams again for a short email sent from laptop to laptop. 17 grams for a long email that takes 10 minutes to write, because obviously your footprint includes the amount you're going to spend on your screen as well. There's a lot of kind of overlap of, you know, reporting of your emissions, because you're writing and reading and you've got, and I think within these recordings he's also thinking about the embodied emissions of your MacBook or your PC or your, you know, your screens, or, you know, whatever you're using, you've got embodied emissions built in there. So they'll take however much time of that, a percentage of that as well. 26 grams an email that takes you 10 minutes to write, sent to 100 people, 99 of whom take 3 seconds to realise they should ignore it. And
oh no.
I'm just thinking I'm really bad with having like 10,000 tabs open at once on like 4 different browsers. I'm guessing I'm feeling guilty now.
I mean, with the email, I feel bad for sending, you know, when you send an email just to say, oh, thank you, almost like a, I think I probably sent you one earlier or something, but like, you know, you feel you have to send it to be polite, don't you, sometimes? But we probably shouldn't, should we? We should probably just ban etiquette emails, because...
I know, I've seen people who've got in their signature, you know, I won't be saying thanks, but I will, and they're taking it, that kind of extent.
It's a bit like the internet version of, only print if you need to, like only send an email if you need to, I guess.
Yeah, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because then you get someone else who emails and says, "Did you get my email?"
Didn't that guy that wrote the book, didn't his brother invent the internet? Is that
he
right?
did. Yeah. Wow. Or he's definitely related.
No, I know. I wasn't asking you. I actually know. We were talking about it the other day. But yeah, no, that must be pretty awkward at the Christmas dinner table when he's like, "See my new book."
Yeah. High achieving family.
I wonder if they, I wonder how they feel about that. But just to bring back to average email traffic, it's equivalent to driving 10 to 128 miles in a small petrol car.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's better to send a text, less carbon footprint for text, and probably things like iMessage as well. But yeah, it's things like trying not to send loads of attachments around to everybody, and thinking about other ways to communicate when you maybe want to communicate en masse. But it's hard, isn't it? Because we've all got email lists of customers, and we need to make communications. But I tend to think as long as you're doing it and you're thinking about it and you're doing it conscientiously, then that's got to be better than sending a whole load of bump in the post. So there are improvements. I think where we've got issues with the real growth of internet emissions, which are now which I think in 2018 overtook aviation.
Wow.
We're all consuming all this kind of like constant stuff, and now there's all this social pressure to make videos all the time for the social media channels, and those things have huge emissions. In fact, they probably have bigger emissions than your website, which gets 100 people or so a day on average, or 1,000 people a day. It's looking at where those wins are, where those relative things are, and trying to think about ensuring that what you're doing in every digital area is optimized. It's hard.
I guess it's just making the best decision, isn't it? Because I guess this conversation we're having now has a footprint, but you're down in Brighton, aren't you? So obviously we're kind of Midlands area, Lincolnshire. So if you'd had to drive up to us, or we drove down to you, I'm hoping that would be a lot more.
You could have cycled.
That would have taken a while.
I think it would. So that the pandemic really shifted things into sort of digital sphere, and I think that has reduced a lot of emissions in those areas where people were going to meet, and they were potentially sort of stuck in a kind of like, we do need to meet for these things. We do need to have that meeting in person, and people realise they didn't, and that will over longer term save a lot of emissions.
Top piece of advice for reducing your website's environmental footprint, then?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
The top piece of advice for reducing it, well, obviously go review your suppliers, make sure they're renewable energy based initially, because that's the first thing to do, and then look at the content that you have. So let it be optimized. Do you need it? Delete stuff you don't need anymore, because no point hosting loads of stuff that's old. It doesn't benefit your website either. So being a nice, trim, effective site that's well optimized, so it's speedy, and that will be good for business too.
Okay, perfect. Nice. So another cool thing that we're big fans of is you are a co-founder of the Million Tree Pledge. So this is a group of kind of small, medium businesses who have all decided to plant 1 million trees. So what kind of drew you towards that? Why did you think it was something that you wanted to do? Why is it important?
So we were sort of planting trees anyway, when we were connected with a whole group of other people, basically, and Marcus in particular, who's one of the co-founders of a digital company called Fountain. He had this idea that we needed to restore the lungs of the planet, basically, while he had COVID and he couldn't breathe very well, and And it just happened to be really timely in the sort of journey that we had, and it cemented kind of like the ambition that we had. And so from that sort of initial meeting, I think there were 12 founding members who said, yeah, we'll do this. And part of that kind of creation of that pledge was to get some other people to do it too. And that's how you've come to join the pledge. Yeah. But it's about, we've talked quite a lot about carbon footprints and reduction of emissions, but we've got so many other issues going on with the planet at the moment that need to be addressed, that obviously are less technical, and they include things like reforestation, creating new habitat, protecting habitat we've got, trying to obviously reduce the loss of biodiversity. There's loads of different things. Air pollution, there's sea and plastic pollution, there's lots and lots of ecological problems, and actually tree planting is one of the things that ticks a lot of the boxes for helping to make this thing better. And so that's what that's about for us, really. It's not part of our get to net zero mission or be a carbon neutral company. It's more about what can we do for nature that's a bigger thing than ourselves, that can leave a lasting legacy that improves and protects what we all know we actually need to stop chopping down and destroying. So yeah, it's about that, really.
Yeah, because I think tree planting is beginning to get a bit of a bad rep in some ways, because obviously it's very easy for very big companies, maybe like the oil giants, to greenwash and just to say, well, it's okay because we're planting 1 billion trees over here. And then people say, well, hang on, that's not right. And which is completely true. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be good to plant a tree. Obviously we need to plant the right trees in the right places, and those trees need to be protected. But yeah, I think we need to do more to talk about that, because I do worry that people are starting to think, well, actually, I don't think it's very good to plant. I think when we decided to start planting trees, it was more of a kind of, obviously we provide cardboard boxes to people. I mean, even if they're once used, it's still a cardboard box, and you still need a tree to make a cardboard box or part of a tree. So it makes sense to, try and give back a bit for those resources that we're taking. And I think, when you actually simplify it like that, it makes sense. And we definitely need to be doing more tree planting.
What did you call it? Cost of doing business? That's what you said.
I think it comes from the Patagonia guys, isn't it? I think it's almost like giving back. I don't know how he phrases it now. Is it like giving back for the resources that you use or something?
I don't remember.
But it's and I think as long as you've committed to achieving net zero as well, haven't you? So I think when you balance it out with, reducing your carbon emissions anyway, as well as doing things that help nature.
I think committing to net zero is pretty tough. Everybody else sort of doing it too, and I think that's where we're sort of stuck at the moment. Is we can't. There's only so much we can actually reduce, and so much we can actually do without real change. But coming back to your point about the trees and the bad rep that tree planting gets, we've been very careful, and I know all the members of the Million Tree Pledge, are considerate about ensuring that they are using a gold standard rated schemes, so we know, and the trees are logged and they're recorded and they're the right trees in the right places. But equally, you think about cardboard boxes. Trees are a natural renewable resource, and as long as we care for them and treat them properly, then there's no reason why we can't cut them down and regrow them. Because if you buy a piece of wooden furniture, then you've locked all that CO2 in that piece of wooden furniture, and a new tree is growing. And so we need to know that it's difficult sometimes to find those right places to get those right resources, and there's a lot of people cutting down trees that shouldn't be cut down, but done the right way, it's a resource that can be used and can be recycled and can be good. It's better than plastic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think it's really good what they do at Ecology, because you can actually see, obviously you can see exactly what's done. You can see the lowdown, where it is, when it was done, and obviously that I think when we went to your Million Tree Pledge meetup, obviously we found out about kind of the whole economy that's being supported by tree planting and kind of the social impacts, and a lot of it's in obviously more if you say like developing countries, where those impacts are really huge, the impact on society. So
I think when he was talking about how the work that they were doing in Kenya, so that was Elliot, who's the co-founder of Ecology, and he was talking about going to Kenya and seeing the enormous scale of the work that's done there, and the local knowledge of the trees. But he was also talking, wasn't he, about how since they've started this work in Kenya, that they are now seeing all their rivers returning, because they're actually replacing forests that used to be there and regenerating whole areas. So there are loads of knock-on benefits, including the ones you were talking about there, in regards to creating livelihoods and creating wealth within the local community and jobs and security for them. So it's I think it's a win-win if you're invested in the right kinds of schemes.
Yeah, I mean, what are your hopes or plans for the Million Tree Pledge? How many trees have been pledged at the moment? Actually, I can't remember myself.
I believe it's something like 57 million trees.
Wow.
No, sorry, 47 million. No,
48 million.
I believe
a lot.
I believe it's 49 million trees.
Wow.
Okay. I wanted to get one more pledge before Christmas to make it 50 million trees for January 1st, but we didn't quite make it. I mean, people were all sort of off on holidays and breaks and things and just wrapping up. So, but I know that there's some new pledges coming on board for January too.
Amazing.
So I think we hit 10 million trees planted. I'd have to double check, but it's very close. It's over 9.5 million trees definitely. So
wow.
And that's since we launched it in Earth Day the year before last. So
yeah, it's not long at all, is it? So
it's not long. No.
Yeah.
No. So it's been really brilliant, and hopefully, we'll see that coming into this year and more people coming on board. Nice to finish this year with 100.
Yeah,
100 million trees pledged. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and I guess it's important as well for any smaller business listening, because you have is it like a collective forest where smaller businesses can join, and obviously just so they don't have to plant 1 million themselves, but they can join together to plant 1 million trees. So.
Absolutely, there's a few collective forests now, and but Laura's Laura Gelder Robertson, she's got a collective forest of lots of different small businesses contributing to that. To do the pledge together, which is fantastic, because obviously it is a commitment, which we're doing over a longer term. Most people are doing it over a kind of 10-year period, but it is still a commitment. And so the collective forest is a good way to get started, or maybe Laura would be upset if you left. but it's a great way for other people to get involved.
On that commitment, I think for a lot of, especially small businesses, especially like probably in the economy that we're going into at the moment, I think that commitment can be quite daunting, or a lot of businesses might say, it sounds great, obviously we should be doing it, but this, can we afford to do it? This might be bad for our business. We're going to have to make our products more expensive, or our customers then going to not want to buy from us. What would you say to those businesses with that predicament?
I think we're doing these things over the long term, so you're not committed to making a contribution every month. You can be doing those things flexibly, as people have tied them to bonuses, people have tied them to making sales. We've tied them to our plans, our software plans. So every customer is planting a certain amount of trees as part of their subscription, and that helps us to just even it out. So we know we're making that and we've built that into our pricing structure. You might be, I can't remember, I think you're planting a tree for most sales, aren't you? Is that right?
All sales, yeah.
Yeah, so for every sale we plant probably a few trees now. I can't actually remember. It's more than one. Yeah.
But it's doing it like that makes it, just part and parcel of what you're doing, rather than it being kind of like, oh, I have to plant now 100,000 trees this year. And if you break it down and you're doing it monthly, then actually the contributions that you're making, even if you weren't buying product sales, can be, more manageable.
Yeah. I was quite surprised at how cheap it is, because I think when we looked, it's about 18 pence a tree, roughly?
Yeah, I think
through ecology.
Yeah, we do it through ecology.
It's something like that.
Yeah, if it's through, I can't remember now off the top of my head.
I think it's 18 pence.
Between something like 20 pence a tree.
It's something like 20 pence a tree.
Yeah, it is. It's affordable, isn't it? And I think, I mean, have you found? Have you got a positive response from your clients from it? Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you think it's helped your business or?
I don't know if the fact that we're planting trees is the reason that people are choosing us, but I definitely think that people like the fact that we're doing it, and they like that we are, doing it on a big scale in comparison to the kind of size of our business, and that we're just helping everybody do it. So I think, a bit like with the carbon footprint, so some people that stuff doesn't really matter. So some of our customers, that won't be very important and the top of their priority, because they'll be, it's more important to them they have a great website that functions and works. But because it's part of our mission, it's something that we're just doing anyway, because actually it should be something that, if all businesses are working like that and doing things like that to make it better for everybody, that's that piece about how we all get to net zero, because actually we're all connected, because we're all suppliers of each other, and so we need our suppliers to do more, or we need to swap to better suppliers, and gradually the more we can all do, the easier and the quicker we're going to get there. So to come back to your point, I think I can't see that there's any particular downside. I haven't had people come to me and go, we've decided not to use your service because you're doing the stuff for the environment. It's, I've had a few people that have come back and gone, oh, there's other things we should be thinking about, but there's always other things that we should be thinking about. And so, you have to do, to some extent, as a business owner, what's also important to you, because that's why we all get up and do these things day in, day out for 22 years coming up.
I think we've built like more of a purpose led company, and I kind of think where we have that kind of purpose, like where everyone comes to work because they know their why and why we're here. We think that's probably has helped us kind of build a stronger team and probably build a better company and probably do a better service to customers. So I would say for us, I kind of think it's been beneficial in a way. Maybe tree planting's only part of that, but I don't know. Have you found that with your staff or with your team, or?
Yeah, definitely. From the point of view of having that purpose and people being invested in what we can do to make things, make the planet a better place, I think that's definitely something everybody is behind, and does help. I think having that, because we obviously met through the B Corp certification process and looking at that together, and I do feel like if you really have that purpose, which is purpose above profit, then that does lend you to that sticking with what you're doing, that determination to keep going, because that actually it's not just about making money, and it is about what you can give back, and you can what you can do and the difference you can make.
And also I think those kind of values are probably like, if any business, obviously most businesses fail, and those core values are integral to to running a business and trying to make it successful.
I think it almost gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning, because I don't know. I mean, do you ever get overwhelmed by, the climate crisis and things like that? I mean, how is it? Because I always feel like you need something to kind of push you forward, don't you? This is, at least we're taking a bit of action. And
yeah, I think so, because when you're a business owner, you're very, I think, when you get started and you're pretty much doing everything, aren't you? You're in control of everything, and you have to kind of let things go as you go forwards. But that kind of element of the climate crisis makes a lot of people feel like it's just going to happen, and it's happening around us. And really, everybody is a tiny cog.
I think it's very abstract to pretty much everyone, the whole concept, I think. Sorry, carry on.
It's all right. What was I going to say? So, there's that saying, isn't there, about you can only influence what you can actually influence, and you shouldn't worry too much about the rest of what you can't influence. And so, back at the beginning of like COVID, David Attenborough's programs came out, and and before that, Sky had showing the things about plastic and the awful stuff that's going on. And I think that all of those kinds of things have helped to put it into people's minds a lot more, to try to think about what they can do. But it is hard to make those changes. And that comes back to, well, I kind of took from that, I'm going to do as much as I can to make sure that we're doing as much as we can to make that easier for everybody. So there are those choices, and there are options that are better, because that's the only way we're going to solve this, because consumers need to have the choices that actually are better choices. And it might be that they're still great choices, because as we said at the beginning, doing pretty much anything makes a carbon footprint. So it's about which things you choose to do, because I don't see the public sitting at home doing absolutely nothing, not buying anything, not eating anything, not choosing to do nothing. So we have to have some more sustainable choices, because I think that we're always going to make carbon footprint.
Yeah, I did read the that Patagonia book, the My People Go Surfing, and he said in that, so he said that they did so he worked with Walmart in America, and they did like a test to see whether, if they showed people the impact, would clients prefer to buy a more sustainable product even if it was more expensive. And their findings were that people the general public, by and large, would prefer to have the more sustainable option regardless of price, which I think is probably quite counterintuitive to what most businesses, especially small businesses, think. I think most small businesses sell on price. So yeah, it's a smart thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. I don't know what my point was. I just thought about that. But
well, I think that's something that people probably have a bit of misconception around, is that most people are buying on price. And I mean, in the current economy, there will be lots of people buying on price, because that's what's necessary. But there is also big markets where people do have a bit more money, and they are choosing based on purpose. That's the whole thing about purpose and values. People buy on purpose and values when they can. And so, as long as your products are good as well, because obviously you need that too, the purpose and values, hopefully for a lot of people, will win through. And so you can have a more expensive product where you are doing more things, and those customers are investing in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the Million Tree Pledge kind of community that you've built or helped build is just that. It's just a great community, and I think everybody can kind of bounce ideas off each other, and it's just great to be part of that, isn't it? I think, I guess, through LinkedIn and various other things, it's great to build that up, because I know when we started, we didn't really have we were more of a cardboard box company, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's
I think yeah, and I think it's inspiring to hear other people's stories.
Yeah, it's just great to learn about everything that people are doing, and
Yeah.
and it's great that a company. So yourself, obviously, we like to think we're kind of purpose led and everything, but I think it's great that other companies, whether it be marketing, website builders, accounts businesses, you can all be more sustainable through everything you do. It doesn't just have to be the kind of eco warriors out there or whatever you want to call them.
Definitely. I think it was really nice when we all came together. It was it's one of those things where, coming back to your point about that climate crisis, is you sort of think you might be a bit on your own, but actually when you meet other people who are doing the same kinds of things, it strengthens that feeling of actually there are more things we can do, and just sharing that knowledge and understanding. Yeah, like you said, every industry can do something, and even if it is just, actually I need to make some noise about this so that my customers can do more things, and that influence, that has a positive influence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So question not related to the climate crisis, but obviously you mentioned earlier that you run Create with your husband, with Simon, who we met.
Yes.
Nice guy.
Yes. Yes.
Just interesting because obviously we're siblings.
We're not married, even though we have the same surname. Sometimes we do get mistaken sometimes.
But I just wondered how you find that, working with your husband in business.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough working with your brother, so I can't imagine.
Yeah, I would say definitely don't work with your siblings, because it's going to ruin your life.
I mean, we've had our ups and downs, definitely when things have been difficult or stressful in the business, and you take that home. And before we had kids, we'd spend the whole evening kind of like talking about work, and so there were no real boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, but I think as we've matured, and as we've been doing it for a longer period of time, and I've now got the kids, and obviously we've got the kids together, so it's that takes a lot of our evening kind of time away, when we might have spent talking more about that and created more work-life balance for us. But generally, just having more defined roles and more defined responsibilities as to what we're doing, so we're not kind of so we're clear. But we've been really lucky, really, because we have different skill sets, and we also have sort of different personalities, so we balance each other quite well. I'll be a bit more like, let's go do all this cool stuff, and Simon will say, well, hang on a minute. You already have a huge to-do list. And I'll be like, yeah, but this is all really cool. And equally he might be a bit more like, and I'll be like, no, come on, we can do this and we can do that, and lots of different times when we work well together. So it's I don't have a secret as to how we're married and worked together for so long, but for us it works, and
that's good.
That's cool.
I think when I guess we're related, but
when you're related, it's much harder.
No, what I was going to say is when you have some kind of relationship like that, you care a bit more, don't you? So you put more, which has its pros and cons, because in some ways you can care too much, and in other ways that's a good thing, because you obviously you want things to succeed, and you want to push things forward. So
definitely. Sometimes you can have those tougher conversations that you might not have had.
Yeah.
If you were
I am very honest. Yeah, I'm very honest, and I didn't used to be.
And the word is brutal.
It gets the problem solved faster, really, if you can. If you do have those, and you are honest.
That's how I like to think, anyway.
Yeah.
You just bounce back after.
Also, another question. So, just wondered. So, we always say this on the podcast. Wanted to know, where do you see the world in 10 years' time? But it's kind of a double-edged question, because it's kind of, where do you see it and where do you want it to be in 10 years' time?
where do I see the world in 10 years' time? Well, the pessimistic me would be sort of like kind of similar to where we are now, really. I don't know. Do you mean the world culturally or the physical world? Because they're
It's an
very
open
different things.
question. I mean, where do you see your industry as well? I mean, where's that going? Well, you said it's now overtaken the aviation industry in terms of its footprint. So I can see e-com only going one way.
Yeah, I mean, e-com's always going to grow, isn't it? Because it's
easier.
It's the de facto way to do your shopping now. So it is easier. But I think that you're going to have a more amalgamated physical experience with digital. You've only got to look at what's going on with the metaverse and VR and how that, in 10 years' time, where is that going to be? Because it might be that you're now shopping in virtual stores, aren't you? I mean, that stuff is there, but it's not mainstream. And how that's going to kind of come online, and maybe we won't have the web in the form that we've got it now. It'll all be through your
brain.
Well, yeah, if Elon has his way, we'll all be there.
I guess in 10 years' time, all those trees will hopefully be a little bit bigger that we've been
They definitely will be.
planting.
Particularly the mango trees only take 10 years to 25 years? I can't remember.
Yeah, they're quite fast growing, aren't they?
They go really, really fast to a sort of mature kind of state. And then after that, they create, because of all the locked leaves, they then create masses of like carbon sinks because it traps all their leaves in and then creates bogs. And it's mangrove trees in particular are a really great, very efficient way to lock in carbon quickly. I think that's
something to look forward to, at least, if nothing else.
Maybe in 10 years' time, we'll all be out somewhere looking at all these trees that we planted. I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it? To have a 10-year million tree pledge meet up, and maybe not Madagascar, it's quite hard to get to, but somewhere we can get to on a solar powered boat, maybe.
Solar plane.
Sounds good.
And Singapore. I mean, all those things are going to be happening, aren't they? So I think we're going to, I think we can either be that everything's going to be pretty much the same as it is now, and fossil companies are still going to be churning out all their oil and things, or we can be actually, there's been a revolution and we're not quite there yet, but things are different, and we're a cleaner society. So I would hope it's that.
Yeah, I like the revolution word. I'm keen on that.
Yeah, a clean revolution, and we're all living, in a nicer, happier planet. That would be good, wouldn't it?
Let's do it. I'm optimistic.
I think we have to be, don't we?
Yeah.
So I know I mentioned the website Carbon Calculator that Vanita and Tom Greenwood have built, and their team. But we have a little eco checker tool that you can go and use, and it'll tell you if your website's running on renewable energy or not. So you can go. Nice. So just a quick and easy way to have a little look and get a quick overview if you're not sure. So you can go to www.create.net/eco-checker and pop in your web address, and it'll tell you if it's on renewable. It'll give you a little bit of an idea about how fast it is, and some, a few tips for things to do. So it's slightly less technical approach to kicking things off and getting started on your website.
Perfect.
Nice. Let's do it.
And think about obviously heading over to Ecology and planting some trees, or joining the Million Tree Pledge.
Yeah. If you want to join the Million Tree Pledge, you can visit our website, which is www.treepledge.org, and see who's pledged and where we're at and news and things, and obviously get in touch there if you want to talk to us about that, if that's of interest.
Great. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time. It's been really lovely to speak to you today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Earth Your While, the podcast that uncovers the truth about how to make your business better for the planet. We hope today's been Earth Your While.
Earlier this year, we joined a group of inspirational business leaders who pledged to plant 1 million trees over the next 10 years. If you'd like to help us reach our goal, or you'd like to find out some more information, head over to reusebox.co.uk/earthyourwhile.